Across the United States, rent prices have climbed to levels that feel completely out of reach for many families, students, and young workers. While large cities like New York, Los Angeles, and Miami dominate headlines with sky-high rent spikes, there are still places, real, livable, functioning American towns, where renting a clean, comfortable apartment does not require sacrificing your entire income. In fact, some towns offer rents that seem almost unbelievable in 2025. Today, we're diving deep into the top 10 U.S. towns where rent is shockingly cheap, breaking down what makes them affordable, what life there actually looks like, what renters can expect for the price, and the challenges that come with low-cost living. This countdown will take us from smaller rural towns to surprisingly large cities with extremely low rent compared to national averages. Let's get started. Number 10. Lima, Ohio, a town where the rent is so cheap your wallet will literally do a double take, blink twice, and ask, "Hold on, are we being pranked?" Sitting comfortably in northwest Ohio, Lima is a modest, easygoing city of around 35,000 people. It's peaceful, practical, and one of those towns where neighbors wave at you like you're an old friend, even if all you did was accidentally walk too close to their mailbox. Whether you call that friendly or confusing depends entirely on your social battery. The average rent here falls between $780 and $850, which is wild when you realize some renters in LA are paying more than that for a parking spot with no guarantee your car survives the night. With national rents hovering around $1,900, Lima is living proof that affordable living is still alive. Barely, but alive. Why is Lima so affordable? Simple. A stable economy, slow population growth, and enough rental homes to keep landlords calm and renters smiling. Life here is pleasantly uncomplicated. Low cost of living, minimal traffic, and local shops that won't attack your wallet. Downsides? Fewer job opportunities and a social scene quieter than a library at midnight. But if your idea of a wild night is pizza, pajamas, and Netflix before 10 p.m., Lima is basically paradise. A typical one-bedroom rents for $650 to $750, two bedrooms under $950, and the stress level? Practically zero.
Number 9. Gadsden, Alabama, a charming riverfront city where rent is so low you'll wonder if someone misplaced a digit. Located on the scenic Coosa River and home to about 34,000 residents, Gadsden blends southern charm with slow and steady living. The average rent? $720 to $820 for an actual apartment, not just a broom closet. Meanwhile, Birmingham sits an hour away, charging over $1,200 like it's doing renters a favor. Gadsden stays cheap thanks to stable housing supply, slower population growth, and a calm, steady economy. Life here is sweet and simple. Quiet neighborhoods, river views, and weekend trips to Nakalula Falls, where you can hike, picnic, or pretend for a moment that you're starring in your own travel documentary. Of course, nothing's perfect. Public transport is limited, and job opportunities aren't endless. But with one-bedroom units for $550 to $700, two bedrooms for $750 to $900, and full houses under $1,000, most people figure they can Uber to work if they really need to. Gadsden is affordability with a southern accent, and somehow that makes it even better.
At number 8, say hello to Danville, Illinois, a small, friendly town near the Indiana border. With about 30,000 residents, Danville is the kind of place where the streets are quiet, the buildings have stories, and the rent prices make you rub your eyes in disbelief. The average rent sits around $700 to $780, which is astonishing when you remember that Chicago, just a few hours north, charges over $2,000 a month for the privilege of parallel parking anxiety. Danville stays cheap for a few reasons: older housing, slow-growing economy, and plenty of available rentals. But the quality of life is surprisingly sweet. Parks, locally owned restaurants, relaxing neighborhoods, and a cost of living that feels like a gentle hug. Downsides include fewer job opportunities and a social scene quieter than a library at midnight. But if tranquility is your love language, Danville is whispering sweet nothings. One bedrooms cost $550 to $750, two bedrooms $750 to $850, and entire houses under $900, which in 2025 feels less like rent and more like a monthly blessing.
Coming in seventh is Pine Bluff, Arkansas, a peaceful city where the rent is so low it practically says, "Relax, I've got you." About 40,000 people live here, located just south of Little Rock. Pine Bluff is quiet, slow-paced, and suspiciously affordable in the best possible way. The average rent ranges from $720 to $780, and the cost of living is so soft and gentle you'll swear you stumbled into a hidden discount universe. Why so cheap? Slower population growth, plenty of rental properties, and a modest economy that keeps prices steady. Quality of life here is peaceful. Outdoor areas, friendly folks, and neighborhoods where everybody minds their own business but still waves politely. On the downside, some areas have higher crime rates, and job options can be limited. Still, one bedrooms cost $550 to $650, two bedrooms $700 to $850, and full houses sit around $900, which in 2025 feels less like rent and more like a monthly blessing.
At number 6, we arrive in Springfield, Missouri, the city that somehow manages to be cheap and entertaining at the same time. With a population over 170,000, Springfield offers the energy of a real city without the price tag that normally comes with it. Average rent, $850 to $920. Considering other Missouri cities like St. Louis and Kansas City often jump past $1,400, Springfield starts looking like a financial loophole that slipped past the housing market police. Springfield's affordability comes from a strong supply of rentals, steady development, and a balanced local economy. And the quality of life? Surprisingly high. You get universities, coffee shops, art districts, restaurants, parks, basically a full city experience without needing 3 roommates and a prayer. Downsides include weaker public transportation and a competitive job market, but most people happily trade those for low rent. One bedrooms run for $700 to $850, two bedrooms $900 to $1,050, and houses under $1,200, which in 2025 feels less like rent and more like a monthly blessing. Number 5. Wichita Falls, Texas. A city so affordable it makes you question if you've accidentally time traveled to 1999. About 100,000 people live here, near the Texas-Oklahoma border, and the average rent sits comfortably around $900. Considering Austin and Dallas charge $1,800 to $2,200 for, well, existing, Wichita Falls feels like Texas's best-kept bargain. Why is it so cheap? A slow but steady population, plenty of housing options, and a stable local economy with military, manufacturing, and healthcare employers. Quality of life is surprisingly solid. Lakes, parks, a family-friendly atmosphere, and drivers who don't try to reenact action movies on the freeway. Downsides include fewer entertainment choices and fewer high-paying jobs. But with one bedrooms for $700 to $850, two bedrooms for $900 to $1,050, and houses under $1,200, the deal is almost too good. Landing at number 4 is Beckley, West Virginia, a mountain-surrounded town where rent is so low it honestly feels like cheating. With about 17,000 residents, Beckley averages $680 to $760 in rent. That's right, East Coast prices under $800. Meanwhile, in New York or D.C., that amount barely covers your monthly coffee habit. Beckley stays affordable thanks to plentiful housing, slow growth, and a modest economy. But the quality of life? Absolutely beautiful. Fresh air, scenic trails, peaceful living, and neighbors who actually say hello instead of pretending they didn't see you. Downsides include fewer job opportunities, quiet nightlife, and needing a car to get around. But with one bedrooms for $500 to $650 and houses under $1,000, most people figure they can build their own nightlife with snacks and a streaming subscription. At number 3, meet Alexandria, Louisiana, a city full of history, charm, southern friendliness, and rent so cheap it feels like a typo. Located along the Red River and home to about 46,000 people, Alexandria averages $850 to $920 in rent. Compared to cities like New Orleans charging $1,600 plus for apartments the size of a shoebox, Alexandria looks like salvation. The town stays affordable thanks to stable population levels, plentiful rental homes, and a dependable economy built on healthcare, retail, and government jobs. Quality of life is simple but comfortable. Suburban neighborhoods, parks, local restaurants, and a cost of living that sits roughly 20% below the national average. Downsides include slow job growth and limited entertainment variety. But hey, affordability doesn't need fireworks. One bedrooms cost $700 to $850, two bedrooms $900 to $1,050, and houses under $1,200. At number 2, Decatur, Alabama, a scenic, peaceful riverfront city where the rent prices feel like they accidentally forgot to adjust for inflation. Nearly 60,000 people live here, and the average rent sits around $830 to $900. Neighboring Huntsville, just minutes away, charges $1,400 plus for similar spaces, making Decatur the superior off-brand that's secretly better than the name-brand version. What keeps prices down? Strong housing supply, steady population, and a diverse economy built on manufacturing, research, and logistics. Quality of life is excellent. Clean suburbs, great parks, good schools, and a cost of living that's so low you'll wonder why everyone isn't moving here. Downsides include fewer entertainment options and heavy dependence on cars, but with one-bedrooms at $700 to $850 and houses for $1,100 to $1,300, most people can overlook that. And finally, number 1, Victoria, Texas, the reigning champion of affordable rent. Located in southeast Texas and known as the Crossroads, Victoria sits between Houston, San Antonio, and Corpus Christi. But honestly, it should be called the land of rent so cheap you'll start believing in miracles. Average rent here is $850 to $950, which is borderline magical in a state where other metro areas charge over $2,000 without blinking. Victoria's affordability comes from balanced housing supply, steady population, and a stable economy built on healthcare, manufacturing, and logistics. Quality of life is surprisingly fantastic. Safe neighborhoods, schools, parks, hospitals, and all the daily essentials without horrifying price tags. Downsides include fewer big city job opportunities and very limited public transit, but the rental deals speak for themselves. One bedrooms $750 to $900, two bedrooms $900 to $1,150, and houses under $1,300. Victoria isn't just affordable, it's a full-on housing miracle. So there you have it, our top 10 U.S. towns where rent is so ridiculously cheap, your wallet might start sending you thank you notes. From Lima, Ohio, where your neighbors wave like they're auditioning for a Hallmark movie, to Victoria, Texas, where affordability practically feels like magic. These towns prove that low rent doesn't have to mean low quality of life. Quiet streets, friendly neighbors, parks, rivers, and even the occasional mountain view, these communities have it all, without forcing you to sell a kidney just to pay rent. Of course, each town comes with its own quirks, limited job markets, minimal nightlife, and some places require a car just to reach the grocery store. But if what you value is peace of mind, extra savings, and maybe a little more space than your apartment in a big city would allow, these towns might just be exactly what you're looking for. And here's the best part. While everyone else is paying insane rent in big cities, you could be sipping coffee on your porch in Pine Bluff, taking a stroll along the Coosa River in Gadsden, or enjoying the quiet charm of Beckley, all while knowing that your bank account is quietly applauding your life choices. Seriously, your wallet might start dancing. If you enjoyed this list, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications. Drop a comment below telling us which of these towns you'd move to first, or if you know another hidden gem we should add to the next list. Remember, affordable living isn't extinct, it's just waiting for savvy renters like you to discover it. So go ahead, pack a bag, find your next dream home, and let these towns show you that living comfortably on a budget is not only possible, it can be downright fun.